Good morning, Watershed. Thank you for being here with us this morning. We're going to sing some songs together, so come, make a friend, find a seat, and stand up and join us. Tear down the walls I've built up, every wall I've built up, every wall I've built up. 'Cause you deserve every piece of my heart, every piece of my heart, every piece of my heart. Lord, I am trusting that you are a faithful mother, and all that you have, it is good. You're a generous giver, your love's like no other. Won't you come and break through to me over and over and over again? I am bringing my heart to you with open hands. Closer and closer, you're drawing me in as the depths of my heart lay before you over and over and over. I am bringing my heart to you with open hands. Closer and closer, you're drawing me in as the depths of my heart. Lord, oh Lord, I am trusting that you are a faithful mother, and all that you have, it is good. You're a generous giver, your love's like come and break through to me over and over and over again. I am bringing my heart to you with open hands. Closer and closer, you're drawing me in as the depths of my heart lay before you. Come now, come tear down the walls I built up, every wall I built up, every wall I built up. Every piece of my heart, every piece of my heart, every piece of my heart. Over and over and over again, I am bringing my heart to you with open hands. Closer and closer, you're drawing me in as the depths of my heart. Over and over and over and over again, I am bringing my heart to you with open hands. Closer and closer, you're drawing me in as the depths of my heart lay before you again.
It's good to see you. Welcome into the space. That was our call to worship. We wanted to do it in the form of song this morning. So as we continue to move on, today's service is a little bit different. We're closing out our Jesus is Going to Jesus series, which has been really wonderful and kind of all over the place with the snow and everything. So we're going to do a Q&A today. So as we're going through the worship songs, as you're listening, prep your questions, because you're going to get to be able to ask those to Matt and David a little bit later. But as we continue through these next moments, as we continue to prepare our hearts to greet each other, to greet ourselves, to discover God together, we held a collective lament circle in this space yesterday, and I love holding those because it just kind of helps orient me to maybe the different ways that people are showing up. And so the next two songs, the first one is about a sound mind. And a lot of people in this season are carrying fear that they don't know what to do with. Immobilizing fear, really. There's so much potential and possibility happening in our world. And for a lot of us, we didn't think that some of the systems and powers as they are would be like they are. So we find ourselves lost or afraid of not knowing how to show up or what to do. Can I say that's okay? That's like really normal, actually. But you get to bring that here. You don't have to walk that alone. And we get to meet people along the way. And at some point, it grants us a sound mind. It puts us back in touch with our praise, because our praise is our relationships with each other. It's how we show up. So as we sing the next songs, I hope that you find yourselves mirrored somewhere in the words. We're glad you're here today.
In the chaos, you are the peace. In our suffering, here you will be. In the darkness, you never leave. God of mercy, you walk with us, please. We surrender anxiety, all the striving, it has to cease. In this moment, community, this is the gift you are liberating. A sound mind for the spirit of fear. A sound mind so that we can see clearly. A sound mind, your spirit is here. A sound mind, a sound mind. There's a table where we meet, a sanctuary where fear cannot reach. We will listen, we will feast on every word that you will speak. We remember who you are. You're our provider and our God. Ancient story, breathe again. Oh, Jesus, help us remember and live. A sound mind for the spirit of fear. A sound mind so that we can see clearly. A sound mind, your spirit is here. A sound mind, a sound mind, a sound mind for the spirit of fear. A sound mind so that we can see clearly. A sound mind, your spirit is here. A sound mind, a sound mind. Wash over with your peace. Goes like this. You came, you saved, you set us free. Jesus' love wash over me. Command our soul awake, arise and send your spirit over every life, over every life. Yeah. You came, you saved, you set us free. Jesus' love wash over me. Command our soul awake, arise and send your spirit over every life, over every life. Yeah. You came, you saved, you set us free. Oh, your love washes over me. sound mind, a sound mind.
I raise a hallelujah in the presence of my enemies. I raise a hallelujah louder than the unbelief. I raise a hallelujah. My weapon is a melody. I raise a hallelujah. Heaven comes to fight for me. And I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. Hallelujah, with everything inside me. I raise a hallelujah. I watch the darkness flee. I raise a hallelujah in the middle of the mystery. I raise a hallelujah. Fear you lost your hold on me. And I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, we're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. Sing louder,
Sing a little 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 louder.
sing a little louder, sing a little louder,
In the presence of my enemies,
sing a little louder,
oh, louder than the unbelief.
sing a little louder,
My weapon is the melody.
sing a little louder.
Heaven comes to fight for me.
thank you all for singing with us this morning. And like I said, it's going to be a weird morning, but this part's not weird because you know what's coming. Will you turn and greet your neighbor as we pass the peace to each other? I love the conversations. So usually the announcements are in this slot, but like I said, we're doing strange things. So we are actually doing our focus song next. And if you didn't know, one of the reasons that we do Pass the Peace is literally it is a moment in time in our day and our service and our ritual of gathering that we get to connect. We get to make connections. We get to realize that there are people here with us, walking and journeying through this life, and that we're not alone. So we hope that this focus song just invites you deeper into that truth, into that reality. It invites you into making connections in this space with people who don't want to let go, don't want to give up on doing this life together.
Everybody gets high sometimes, you know. What else can we do when we're feeling low? So take a deep breath and let it go. You shouldn't be drowning on your own. And if you feel you're sinking, I will jump right over into cold, cold water for you. And although time may take us into different places, I will still be patient with you. I hope you know I won't let go. I'll be a lifeline tonight. I won't let go. I'll be a lifeline tonight. 'Cause we all get lost sometimes, you know. It's how we learn and how we grow. And I wanna stay with you till I'm old. 'Cause you shouldn't be fighting on your own. And if you feel you're sinking, I will jump right over into cold, cold water for you. And although time may take us into
There we go. Sorry about that. They left it on last time. That's why I didn't turn it on this time, just for the record. Hey guys, good morning. Thank you for coming to Watershed. If this is your first time here, we're so glad that you made it. You run into a community where people gather every Sunday morning and create a divine space where we can come and be together. I'm just so glad that you guys have taken time out of your weekend to spend it with us. My name is Oscar, and I'm your service host for this morning. That means I get to bring you the announcements and some dates that are coming up for here at Watershed. One of the things that I want to bring up to you is, if you're new, is our QR code, which is going to let you get to know about us. We also want to know more about you. So if you go to that QR code, you can go to our website, take a look and see what we're about, and there's a space for you to tell us who you are as well. One of those dates that's coming up, and by the way, please pay attention to this part, because when I first started coming, I didn't hear this announcement, so I would have pretty much enjoyed it. And it is something that's coming up, which is called Second Sunday. So Second Sunday is a place where you can come if you have been coming to Watershed for a couple weeks or for a few months. You can come here and meet our staff. Second Sunday is going to take place on March 8th. You'll be able to register at our website through that QR code. And also, childcare is going to be available as well. Bring your children with you. And light snacks are going to be provided. And the best thing about this event is that Matt and David will be able to answer all of your questions. There's no question that will go unanswered. And so the next thing that we have going on is the Green Project, which is going to happen next Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon. This is an opportunity that our Watershed has to go to the Caldwell Station Creek Greenway, which you'll be able to clean up the waterways and put our hands and feet to make our community cleaner and more beautiful. And the other thing to keep in mind is going to be on Thursday evening, March 19th, ICU Talk has a storytelling event. In this storytelling event, you can come and listen to about 10 people or so speak about their journey through their mental health journey and learn, and it's very inspirational. ICU Talks is a organization that Watershed greatly shares and partners with, and they will be more than happy and welcome for you to be here. The other announcement that I have for you this morning is about the volunteering opportunities that we have here, which you can join either Greenhouse or the production team, the AV team. So hopefully Matt lets me do announcements after what I'm about to say, because I'm going to go off the script here a little bit. But I just want to share with you guys why I chose to volunteer. You know, when I first started coming to Watershed, I just wanted to sit in the back, come as late as possible, leave as early as possible. But then the more I started coming, the more I started realizing how special and how unique this community is. And then I just couldn't sit there, because I kept meeting so many wonderful people, and I want to be part of the want to be part of the adventure, part of the experience, part of the journey. And so I started volunteering with the greeting team. And now, most of you might not be extroverts and crazy enough to come up here and speak in front of everybody, but there are opportunities here at Watershed where you can join and volunteer, and we are welcoming you. And it's no pressure. Sometimes I text Dom and I'm like, hey, I can't make it, and she doesn't scold me, so that's that's good. No pressure. And the last thing I want to talk about is the giving here at Watershed. You know, just like volunteering, just like when we volunteer, we create a space where everybody is welcome, and we're creating a divine opportunity to meet people where they are. So that correlates with our giving as well. We know that the leadership here, I'm confident that the leadership here stewards the funds that are provided to make our community grow, to also make our community feel like a place where you're hurt, broken, or wherever you are in life, you can come and find a healing space, and that is something unique. That is something that is possible through our giving. And so for those of you that give, thank you so much. If you haven't started yet, we urge and encourage you to consider it. So with that, thank you so much for being here this morning, and hope you have a great day.
Happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy, happy day. Happy day. When Jesus was. Oh, you know he was. When Jesus was. My sins away.
Well, hey, before anyone gets scared, this isn't some sort of like weird special announcement. Or intervention, yeah. If you're new and you don't have any idea what I'm talking about, let me clarify. My name's David Roberts. I'm one of the pastors here. This is Matt, our lead pastor. And generally speaking, if both of us are on the stage at the same time, it's because we want to have like a serious like family conversation. Yeah, you're not on. I'll talk while he fixes that. And I could say we maybe have some exciting news to share, which I'll get to in a moment. But what we're mostly going to do this morning together is wrap up what has been our current series called Jesus Gonna Jesus. Say something. Okay, you're on. Cool.
And that's the way it's going to go most of this morning. All right, that's enough. Thanks.
No. What I do want you to do is talk a little bit before we really dive in. Talk a little bit about sort of the what and the why of this series. Like, we started thinking about this back in the fall, and with our teaching team kind of collectively. Maybe summarize real quick, like, why did we want to kick off the year with a series about Jesus?
Yeah, and I mentioned this, I think, the first weekend of the series. I don't know that we've ever done a series with the name Jesus in the series title.
Welcome to Watershed.
Yeah, so I think part of what happens here when we're trying to map out future conversations, future series ideas, is we're kind of listening to what's happening in the world, and we're listening to what's happening internally with our community. And over the course of about 2 or 3 months in the middle of the fall, really in preface, I started to hear some things with brand new folks who were, the tone around the conversation with Jesus shifted. And it was a shift from, well, is Jesus the center point here of Watershed? It shifted from that to there is something happening in the world around the confiscation of Jesus as an idea, a conversation, a metaphor, the literal Jesus that the church has wrestled with throughout tradition. And I'm really energized to reclaim, reimagine, and enter into a conversation that is both generous, but in some ways dangerous because of the way we hold that conversation. And so I don't know, there was something about what was happening in the world that was intersecting with what was happening in Watershed. And I started to feel a lot of energy around it. David felt energy, our teaching team, and that's the long answer, I suppose.
Oh, that's perfect. And so what we're going to do this morning is to kind of land the plane on the series. Something we like to say here is that we are a church of first words, not last words. And so we don't think what we have sort of explored in this series, the two of us along with the rest of our teaching team, is, the last word on Jesus. Nothing we said is exhaustive. Our hope has been to kind of reclaim what we think is the Jesus of Scripture, the Jesus of history, maybe the intent that Jesus had in his work in ministry. And so in a moment, what's going to happen is we're going to do something that I love doing to end series, which is doing a live Q&A, and I'll give you instructions on that in a moment. What I've never done, or what we've never done, is I've never brought a sidekick. So this is going to be a bit of an experiment this morning. This is who was available. But before we dive in, the announcement that I was excited about is we are kicking off a new series next week. I think we have a slide for it. Here it is.
Yeah.
If you think you understand the reference, you probably do. And if you don't, I'll explain it to you next week. But this is a brand new series called Friends Everywhere. It's going to be an opportunity for us to kind of look back in order to look forward. Many of you know that we celebrated our 20th anniversary as a community last fall. And so in the ensuing months, we've kind of wrestled with, okay, how has who we've become and kind of who we continue to feel like we're becoming, how does that inform, not just the next year of work and ministry here at Watershed, how might that lay the foundation for the next, decade? The next 20 years of ministry at Watershed. So in that same spirit of first words, this series is going to be reflecting on who we have been and who we've become, and maybe venturing to suggest some first words about where we see ourselves going, at least in the next few years, if not the next 20 or so. So we would invite you back to be part of that.
Can I?
Yeah, if you
am
want
I supposed to speak now?
It's kind of a vibe thing. Go for it.
No, I'm really excited about those weeks that are coming ahead, the conversations that we're going to have. And you mentioned 20 years. I'm like, oh, my word, I would be 80 in 20 years. So the thought of me surviving to 80 is I like that idea. That's the first thing. But then also, there's something special about this community that in order not to preserve it, but to unleash it and let it go beyond just who we have been over the last 10 years. That's the thing that's really exciting for me in the next conversations that we're having. Awesome.
So here's how this is going to work. Some of you, it's not your first rodeo. My phone number is there. Pretty positive that's my phone number. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like your name. If you see it too many times, you're like, is that really my name? Is that really how it's spelled? That's kind of how I feel about my phone number, but I believe that is correct. So I now invite you, as you feel led, to text any questions that you have, and I'm gonna be somewhat strict on this and kind of say, like, keep them in the context of this series that we've been in. So even if it's your first Sunday, if you heard anything in the way that Matt was describing this series, you're going to be pretty safe if you just ask a question about Jesus. Low bar. So just start texting them in, and we're going to answer them live. Knowing from previous experiences that even when I'm up here by myself, like on a good day where we haven't already wasted 7.5 minutes of our time, I get to like 6 of these. And generally speaking, y'all text in like 30 to 40 questions. So just know that my commitment is to answer all the questions. Not all of them will be answered from stage by the two of us, but I will respond to every single question that comes in, even the cheeky ones that are not sent seriously.
Yeah, and this is a new rodeo for me. So
yeah,
we were talking about the kind of the different approaches to how we have answered questions in the past, and the thing I really appreciate about David is the way that he takes language and offers responses in terms of vocabulary and kind of really complex ideas. I tend to lean more into story and metaphor, so you might see some of that nuanced difference between the two of us this morning.
Yeah. So there's kind of actually been a popular question so far that I need to get out of the way first, which is, at least 4 of you have texted this in, which is, did we coordinate our outfits? We did not.
We did not, but we noticed it this morning. I walked in, I went, look, we're opposites.
Yeah. So It's a visual metaphor for how you will experience the answers to our questions this morning. Yin and yang.
And we're off to a very serious start, obviously. We see where your priorities are this morning.
All right. So this is kind of a broad question, but I think I think that open-endedness might be a good place to start. And it is this: how does the concept of Jesus inform how Watershed operates and responds?
Do we flip a coin for this? How do we do this?
I read the question, so.
Okay. I think yes. The answer is
It wasn't a yes or no question.
how.
How?
Yes. Now you do the how.
Yeah.
That'll be my response to everything. Yes or no, and then you do. It does. It does. Now the way that it informs who we are, I think, is much different than maybe the way that it would have informed who we were in the past, and then maybe different than what you might be used to in the communities that you're coming out of. I think, I've said this in different environments. There's a difference at Watershed between Watershed as a bounded set or a centered set in terms of who we are as a community. And most of us emerged out of a bounded set type of place where there was, like, if you can kind of envision this sort of circle and the circumference of the circle, the line, like you got to figure out how to get in. And so things like Bible, certain beliefs about Jesus, baptism, the color of the curtains in the sanctuary, like how you vote politically, these are all sort of the bounded ideas or sets that if you check enough boxes, you can be a part of that community. And from day one, I think Watershed, well, in fact, I know, we formed Watershed as a centered set where we put something at the center. And at the center, from day one, has always been Jesus. And there was an invitation to orbit around that center. And at times, some people would orbit way out, kind of beyond a further distance. The orbit would increase. In some seasons, the orbit would contract. But I think the difference here is we have new questions. We have new ideas. There's a generous, open approach to even describing what we mean when we say Jesus here. And yet, at the center, that's what we continue to return to unapologetically. I don't know if you'd have more to say about that.
Always. So what I would add, now that was great. I felt really good about that. If we ended there, I'd be okay. But so what I would add is simply this, that in the entire history of Christianity, the Christian tradition, there's never been like a singular unified thing that we could point to and say that's Christianity. There's always, from the very beginning, from the earliest pages of the New Testament, which were written, some decades after Jesus' life and ministry, like from the beginning, there has always been a plurality, a negotiation, a conversation of sorts, trying to make sense of this Jesus person, trying to make sense of this interruption into human history that was the life and ministry of Jesus. And out of that came inevitably a plurality of responses, of wrestlings, of attempts to make sense of it, to answer the question of, okay, not only who was this person, but maybe who is this person, and who are we collectively and individually as a response. And so we locate ourselves within that tradition. We see ourselves having the same conversation in dialogue with those who came before us, with those who are around us, rubbing shoulders with us. That means we keep a very open hand on anything that we're saying definitively. But as those who came before us did, we're going to try to say things confidently. That inevitably means we're probably going to get some things wrong, or we are going to change our mind as we learn more or experience more. We're going to kind of fail forward in a way, in a generative way. But we see ourselves in doing so, walking with a kind of consistent rhythm, that sort of ties us into this multi-thousand-year, multi-millennial conversation that is the plurality and the diversity of Christianity.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to keep going on that. I mean, or if you've got another question.
I've got a lot of other questions.
Okay, well, let me kind of wrap that question up. I think there's a difference between leveraging the Jesus that we turn into a mirrored version of ourselves and using that version to determine who's in and who's out in the world, who's in and who's out in our churches. And then there's this other way of engaging and understanding Jesus that blows the lid off of that entire statement that I just made and says, who is not at the table? And what does belonging look like that transcends some sort of concretized belief system that Jesus never ever really instituted himself? And so there's a liberation around holding loosely this idea of Jesus at the center that makes for a bigger table, expands what we mean when we say we are becoming more human. I think those are conversations that are, at least for me, enlivening, and I think are why so many people, whether they believe in a literal Jesus or not, find traction here and move forward together.
Thank you, Oscar.
Oscar applauded.
Yeah.
So you will do service hosting again.
Yeah. So actually, the way that you kind of landed the plane there, I think sets up this next question. And y'all, I'm not like trying to show favorites. I will say that if your number is already saved in my phone, like if a name instead of a number shows up, I am actually maybe not going to respond to your question or prioritize as much. I might get to some of them. So if you know that I have your contact information, you better write the best question ever. Otherwise, I'm gonna value the strangers. I might have also just outed myself. Like you might think that I have your contact information saved, and then I read your question. So sorry in advance. But anyway, no, this one I think is pretty good. So they're all good. But given our accounts of Jesus are written by spectators and not autobiographical, how much do we take it at face value as to what really happened? Ooh. Yeah. It's a sneaky Bible question, disguised as a Jesus question. So I'm actually going to even name something that is implied in the question, which is totally innocent, that I might even want to problematize, which is I'm not even sure that the accounts we have were written by spectators. Our earliest gospel account, Book of Mark, came, best guess, 68, 69, 70 AD at the earliest, maybe a little after that time. 70 AD, of course, historically is when the Romans came in and occupied Jerusalem and destroyed the Jewish temple. Much of the New Testament contextually is sort of orbiting around this mass trauma that the people of Israel experienced when this happened. So already that's, 4 decades after when we believe Jesus was on earth. And so that's not to say that eyewitness accounts of Jesus' life and ministry didn't inform these accounts, but by the time things are actually written down, we are pretty far removed from what was likely the spectators themselves. So yeah, I just made the question even harder. My answer for that, and this is broadly sort of, I think, an answer about how our community understands the Bible, would be to borrow a kind of a winsome turn of phrase. I believe it was the theologian Marcus Borg who said this, which is that the Bible is true and some of it actually happened. All right? Yeah. So what is being sort of communicated in that statement is that oftentimes us modern Western folks, we have a very, what I'm going to call a literalistic approach to narrative and history. The only thing that we kind of take seriously as true are sequential statements of factual data. That is a notion of truth, even a notion of history that would have been entirely alien, not just to the culture of the Bible, but to other cultures worldwide today. And so it's not so much, from a Western perspective, we might say, oh, well, if it's not telling exact kind of linear, literal history, then clearly it's wrong, or they were trying to deceive us, or something weird like that, when in fact, they are and were operating within the literary conventions, the genres of their day. In many ways, even there are aspects of the Gospels that you could argue were written almost as subversive political propaganda and would have been experienced as such. For example, when Jesus is called the Son of God, that was an anti-imperial statement being made to sort of position Jesus contra Caesar, who was also called Son of God. talked about this last week, but when Jesus calls himself Son of Man, that can also be translated as the human being. And so whatever Jesus is communicating or whatever he's attempting to reveal about the person of God, he's saying that this is true about God's image bearers, which is all of humanity. And that's a truth, like capital T truth, that sort of transcends its place in sort of literalistic linear history. If any of you are a fan of various fiction genres like fantasy or sci-fi, if you've read Lord of the Rings or something like that, there are probably moments where you experience something as profoundly true. And yet I think there's a fair few of you who think Middle Earth was actually, part of our human history. I would respect it, but perhaps challenge it. So all that to say is, and again, this is very much a first words type answer because I don't think we have time to kind of really get into the minutia of like historical critical studies and kind of the way that we evaluate truth claims or historical claims within the Bible. But kind of that big idea that I would want to leave you with is that idea that like truth can be communicated in the pages of Scripture without it having even been intended to be the sort of chronological history that we have elevated so much in our kind of Western society.
I totally forgot what I was going to say after all of that. No, I think where my head goes is a conversation around imagination. The thing that no one ever mentioned to me growing up, and even the first several decades of doing this kind of work, was the difference between a retelling of something that I was told was literal, and making sure you get that right. And then everyone assuming that they had the right interpretation of the literal thing that you were kind of locked into. The difference between that and what does some sort of generous imagination look like in the aftermath of a group of people writing through a lens that is I think includes a generous imagination. And so the writers of the Gospels, Paul's letters, there's all sorts of scholarship out there that describes how these are literary pieces that are taking a Jewish experience, and here's where you can correct me, a Jewish experience that is now, they're trying to make sense of this in their day, in their time, and they're imagining a world in which somehow this Jesus person, this Jesus event is informing them differently. And so I know I said a lot there, but I think part of what again I get excited about is the permission and the agency as a community to reimagine a world, not through a lens of rightness and wrongness, but a lens that says, no, this is a better way to live. This is a better way of being human. A better way of organizing the world in such a way that everyone has what they need, instead of a few having more than they need and a lot of folks having very little, and in some instances not enough to even live. So there's a conversation between sort of this binary way of seeing it that includes the literary, or the literal rather, and then the weight of responsibility that we say yes to here at Watershed, to go, all right, how do we imagine not just a different world, but a different us? That's the invitation here, and I think that's, I don't know if I answered the question, but...
I don't even remember what the question was.
Me neither.
But the question I'm choosing next sort of piggybacks off what I was hearing in your answer. And it's this: how do we know when fulfilling the Christian tradition's law is also fulfilling Jesus' heart and message versus simply following ritual or obeying that law? I'll go. So I alluded to something that I think is crucial here a moment ago, which is that there has never in the history of Christianity been one singular thing that is Christianity. In fact, when the entirety of the New Testament was written, as best as we can tell, people weren't even using the term Christian yet. Or maybe it was starting to show up kind of in the tail end a little bit. For the first number of decades, perhaps even century of Christianity, it was seen as a variation of Judaism. So again, one thing that is implied there also is that there's never been a singular expression of Judaism or any faith tradition. So all of us are sort of finding ourselves as part of this big conversation, this big negotiation, this wrestling. Now that got complicated a couple centuries in when Constantine, the Roman Empire, decided to make Christianity his vassal religion for the entirety of the Roman Empire, and then went around standardizing through various councils and the development of certain creeds and things like that, what was the canonical or official, sort of legally ratified expression of Christianity. And there are aspects of that version of Christianity that have survived up to this day, and many traditions still sort of adhere to those, and I respect that. But I think it's important to sort of see the historical context of how this all came about, and that sort of problematizes and maybe even relativizes the degree to which we maybe hold some of those traditional positions with a closed hand as opposed to an open hand. I think the thing that we see in Jesus' life and ministry, at least in the gospel accounts, is a spirit of disruption, where Jesus comes in and sort of problematizes or blurs the lines when it comes to the expectations of his day, especially, and Matt named this already, especially as it relates to sort of who those norms prioritize in privilege. And like cards on the table, me speaking for myself now, I think really the best way for us to follow Jesus, so to speak, is to take that spirit and sort of translate it from context to context. The idea here is, and this is actually, spoiler alert, something I'm going to talk about a whole lot as we kick off the series next week, is this idea that the Spirit of Christ, the Holy Spirit, is something that transcends cultural context. All right? And so, when the way that sort of Christ continues to communicate today is one that is not reducible or objectifiable, as in cannot be locked in to any particular cultural context or any context whatsoever. Any attempt to sort of like freeze an articulation or sort of exploration of who Jesus was and is into a particular context is what we would in sort of churchy terms call idolatry. And so Jesus is constantly undermining our attempts to make permanent something that is transcendent of all contexts. And so the way that I think Jesus is followed most faithfully is we're constantly looking for the ways in which what has been sort of solidified is being lorded over and against marginalized folks in any context, and who is decentered, who is marginalized is going to change from context to context, but Jesus is always, Matt was talking about this center set idea, and I like that as an improvement over a bounded set, but there's almost a sense in which Jesus would even push back at being centered, in the sense that Jesus is always sort of occupying these marginal boundary sort of borderland spaces and inviting us all to sort of join him over there.
Yeah. Well said.
You're up.
I'm up. How do I top that? Where I was going when you were saying all of those things were actually either words or ideas that we observe happening within the New Testament. And no one ever pointed to Jesus' words about his belief that we would do, or his disciples would do things that were even greater than himself. And the question about how do you? What I heard in the question was, how do you know you're not screwing it up? Like what if we're going down? What's wrong?
I was gonna be cheeky and say you don't.
You don't, but I think that internal and maybe even external pressure to be mindful that you could screw something up is healthy, first of all. But then, like, being liberated from some sort of punitive reaction to that is on some sort of divine scope. I think I let go of that idea a long time ago. I remember being in very closed, intimate conversations early on, wrestling with that question as we were trying to understand human sexuality and whether or not Watershed should embrace being fully affirming and accepting. And in light of a worldview or biblical worldview, that there is a right way and a wrong way to understand this, and we could have been paralyzed, but the humanity that was emerging in front of us pulled us forward. And so I think of things like, you've heard it said that you were created for the Sabbath, and I tell you that the Sabbath was created for you. In the old vernacular, well, what should we do on the Sabbath was the question. And now it's like, no, Jesus is actually taking this thing that was very intimate and important within his context of his day, and he's kind of blowing it up, going, what are the new ways of understanding this particular thing? I don't think there's a way to screw it up, to David's point, that is beyond repair. So, like, for 20 years, we've made mistakes in the lane of trying to do better. And sometimes those mistakes were circling back and going, oh, we can't let go of that. And then, oh, you know what we do? And now we have to repair. I had a dear friend when we were in the middle of trying to understand more diversity and inclusivity conversations around here. I was verbalizing to them, hey, like, I'm just afraid to make decisions because I don't want to hurt anyone anymore. I'm so exhausted with imposing pain on particular people or groups here within this community. And in maybe one of the most loving moments of my life, they looked at me and said, well, of course you're going to F it up, and I will still love you. And it was liberating. It was salvific in that moment. And so somewhere between there and realizing that the decisions we make here are really important is where I think we should live.
So the timer says we have 3 seconds left. I disagree.
Yeah.
So band, chill for a few. We probably, just to honor all y'all's time, can't get to many more, but at least one, there'll be more than one, but at least one. This one feels like it'd be kind of quick, so we'll at least add this one, which is, what were each of y'all's favorite message or takeaway within the series, and why? It's like asking to choose your favorite child, which I'm going to make Matt do in a moment. But no, I'm going to cop out and use this as an opportunity to highlight one of my favorite things about Watershed, which is the fact that we have a teaching team, as opposed to like a singular voice that sort of speaks on behalf of the community. And so if you did not have a chance to see all the messages in this series, I would encourage you to go onto our YouTube channel and check it out. All of our communicators are very gifted and talented. I feel like Cedric was really in his bag when he was up here. I loved that Kim explored an apocryphal book, one that doesn't normally fit into the biblical canon, and was able to sort of deconstruct as to why that was, and maybe invite a kind of curiosity towards the biblical text that you don't normally get on Sunday mornings at a church. Maybe more often than not this one, but and then we had a guest speaker this series, Jennifer Garcia Bashaw, and I'm thrilled that you all got to hear from a biblical scholar who's a woman. And she's brilliant, and she does incredible work on the New Testament, and so I would commend her work to you as well. So my favorite was one of those three. Which means you either have to pick me or yourself.
No, I can. You named, at least in part, the moment, and then the thing that I love when it happens, that happened here. And when Kim introduced a story in writings around Thecla, right? Did I say that correctly?
Good job.
That was new information for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I get moved and really proud of what happens here when someone walks in and says, all right, you were not told this, and you deserve to at least have the option to know it exists. And so for me, that moment kind of embodied, it was almost like when, to use a sports metaphor, you hit the golf ball and it's perfect and it lands on the green just a few inches from the hole. That's what it. Yeah, you didn't like the sports metaphor.
No. I didn't like the sports metaphor. I've been watching 3 sports games all morning. And
You're doing it right now.
I won't spoil anything. For those of you who are waiting to see what happened in the gold medal hockey game. But No. I'm grimacing because I like a lot of these questions, and despite my defiance, I kind of feel like we need to start landing the plane here.
Yeah.
And some of them I'm just going to say, I'm just choosing to answer privately later myself, selfishly. Actually, there's one that came in earlier that I want to get back to. Where is it at? Okay. All right, cool. The band got their cue. We'll end with this one. Knowing that there was a whole bunch of questions, which I will answer later, which were phenomenal and absolutely deserved to be highlighted, but we ran out of time. So, drawing off one of the key and maybe most challenging teachings of Jesus in the Bible, what does it look like to love your enemies in 2026 and at Watershed?
I don't know who that was, but they're bringing the heat, right?
Bringing the heat.
Bringing the heat. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
So, and this is probably not how you expected a pastor to begin the answer to this question, but in one of my favorite manga and anime series of all time, called Vinland Saga, which is all about Vikings, written by a Japanese man. But no, one of the key motifs or themes throughout is sort of the father character's sort of exhortation to his son that you have no enemies. There is no one in your life who is your enemy who you should want to kill. All right. That's my baseline here. Now, I would problematize or nuance that with the fact that even in this very room, there are folks who are more vulnerable than others, more vulnerable than me. And there is a tension to be held with not reducing the humanity of someone who is unsafe to an enemy, while at the same time showing up in solidarity and in support and in safety with those who have been identified as the enemies of someone. And so I kind of want to leave that tension unresolved, not as a cop-out, but pushing back against the notion that the contradictions of our lives must be reduced to binary oppositions. It's kind of a confusing thing to say, but just to sort of unpack it a little bit, our tendency as a species is to encounter something contradictory, something that doesn't fit within our previous established containers or worldview or interpretive lens or what have you, in the way that we resolve that disruption. Because we experience that as a disruption. We experience it as something that doesn't fit. It makes us uncomfortable. It makes us defensive. We want it to go away. And so the simplest way to resolve the contradiction is to turn it into an opposition. An in-out, right-wrong, pure-impure, either-or question. For those of you familiar with the book of Genesis, the creation narrative, Garden of Eden stuff, recall that this is the exact temptation originally offered by the serpent. Eat of this tree and you will know the difference between good and evil. You will be able to sort the world according to these binary categories, with the offer of doing that thing will make you like God. And so the invitation of Jesus is to completely scramble that binary. The whole notion of grace completely upends the logic of that either-or thinking. And so to love your enemies in 2026 or at Watershed, I think is at least a two-step process. Not a binary process, but a two-step process. And in no particular order, one of those steps is to acknowledge and accept and internalize that you do not have enemies. And while holding that intention, hold also the contradictory fact that sometimes we have to posture ourselves in opposition of someone. But really that someone is a system. It's an ideology, it's a lie, it's someone's own insecurity and fear being weaponized against the thing that they've been told is threatening their own security. And we get to sort of wade into the messiness of that lie and try to show the possibility of a better way of being in the world, while never reducing the humanity of the oppressor to that of an enemy. Holding this tension is incredibly difficult. It's best done in community. And ultimately, they killed Jesus over him because he was doing this thing. So it's not like this is some sort of like formulaic, if you do this, everything will magically work out. No, it's going to be messier and more disruptive. And broadly speaking, I think that's some evidence of its truth. Land the plane.
Yeah. I'm not good at answering that question. Again, I'm going to sound the way this experience for 20 years has impacted me. It's created this tethered line between myself and whoever I might be tempted to call enemy. Like letting that person, or refusing to let go of the idea that that person is a human being that is informed by all sorts of variables that I have no way of understanding. There's the thing under the thing under the thing that informs the way people show up into the world and the way the world is created. And I think Donna and I talk about this. To not be a part of this community would probably have meant one, if not two things: to never have changed, to actually continue being in the lanes of thinking that we now find problematic. So there's a lot of transformation that we've experienced as a family and as people here, speaking for my family. And so that's one idea. And the second idea is just being sort of dismissive, like it's not my problem. I don't really need to worry too much about it. So it's kind of la, 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 la. I'm not going to focus on those things. Being in the community has forced me to stay with it, to keep turning back towards the painful, the inconvenient, the contradictory. And at the same time, the practice of community teaches me in a safe environment that is also courageous to say, all right, there's a future that we're working towards here, and this is sort of the training ground for what it means to love people that are hard to love and be someone who is hard to love, and watch folks sit in front of you and say, of course you're going to F it up, and I'm going to keep loving you. We turned 20, and if you're like, for those of you who are brand new, if this hasn't become obvious to you, this isn't some like very established, we know exactly what we're doing and we're exactly who we are and this is who we're going to be. You're invited into being co-creators of this moving forward. And for some of you who feel like, you know what, I just feel like I'm not, I'm too new or whatever. No, everybody's new. We're all, right? Everybody is new. I mean, there's a few of us that have been around for a while, but like for the vast majority of you are new. And so this is a thing that we get to do together. And it's why I get excited. And I hope that's encouraging for you. I hope it's not too terrifying. But I'm glad you're here. We love you. And that's how I would respond to that question.
Awesome. Well, thanks for indulging us. As promised, just give me a little bit of time. I'm going to go home, I'm going to eat some lunch, I'm going to go for a run, and then I'm going to sit down at my computer and I'm going to answer all of the unanswered questions to the best of my ability, wanting you to know that more and more I'm going to be speaking for me and not necessarily on behalf of Watershed, and I'll try to clarify that, but I'm actually really looking forward to it. Answering all the questions I didn't have time to is one of my favorite things that I get to do, and sometimes those questions go on to inform like future series and things that we talk about from stage and things like that. So even if your question didn't make the stage this morning, it may well get a whole month's worth of talks down the road. Thank you for being here. I hope you join us next week as we kick off our brand new series, Friends Everywhere. And now I'm going to turn you back over to the capable hands of our band.
Before we move on, I just want to invite you all to take this moment in. Start to connect to your breath. Notice what you just experienced. Notice if there was any movement in how you came in and where you are right now. noticing your divinity. You're noticing God in you. I invite you to sing God with us as we declare fear is not our future. You can stand, you can sit, whatever you need in this moment. It's yours.
May you turn it in your favor. May it work out for your good. You're not done with what you started. You're not done until it's good. May you turn it in our favor. May it work out for our good. You're not done with what you started. You're not done until it's good. Hello peace, hello joy, hello love, hello strength, hello hope, it's a new horizon. Hello peace, hello joy, hello love, hello strength, hello hope, it's a new horizon.
If you're ready for a breakthrough, will you ask for what you need? 'Cause what God's pouring out is something you wanna receive. You wanna receive. Say hello peace, hello joy, hello love, hello strength, hello hope, it's a new horizon. Hello peace, hello joy, hello love, hello strength, hello hope, it's a new horizon. Fear is not my future. Shame is not my story. You are. Heartbreak's not my home. You are. Death is not the end. Yeah, we say fear is not my future. You are. Shame is not my story. You are. Heartbreak's not my home. You are. Death is not the end. You are. We say hello peace, hello joy, hello love, hello strength, hello hope, it's a new horizon. Hello peace, hello joy, fear is not my future. You are. Shame is not my story.
rituals that we get to gather together, to be a community to and for and with each other. In all of its complexities, in all of its challenges, through it all, you help us to see you as we see each other. May you cover us. May you continue to turn us towards each other as we go about our day. Bless our feet, especially in this Lenten season where we turn our hearts to you. Forever grateful. It's in your name. Pray all these things and say amen. And one last thing. Mitch has been with us on the band for a really long time, and this week he said his time here is winding down, but not with Watershed. He's still going to be here, part of this community. So thank you for singing this last song with us and making it special, and thank you, Mitch, for being such an integral part of this team. We'll miss you, but we know we'll see you, and we know we'll still get to create beautiful things with you. May you all have peace. May you be well. Be blessed as you go about your day.